What's going on, guys? Welcome to another new car little build that we're doing. So this here is a VE SS Ute. It has been already set up with a twin turbo system. So we've got twin low mounts. This was very common back in the day. When it's done properly, worked well, but it does make things real tight, hard to get at. There are a lot of limitations, a lot of things that go wrong with the low mount setup. In this case, we'll show you what's gone wrong with this. So I'm filming this because we are ditching the twins on this, and we are actually just going to a Kiloboost single turbo setup. Now, as we've always talked about, if we had a VE or a VF and we wanted to turbo it, we wouldn't even bother trying to build our own kits. We say this to everyone. The Kiloboost kits are that good. And the value for money is so good when you start looking at how much fabrication goes into doing this yourself, that it's just not worth bothering. You're better off just buying the off-the-shelf kit. It's going to save you money 9 times out of 10. So we're really excited to fit a Kiloboost kit to this. We want to show you pretty in depth what comes in the kit and how it goes about. But yeah, so this car was sort of built and he did minimal Ks in it, and then it's been sitting for like 5 years just because of all the problems it had, mainly really bad oil leaks. And as we've started to, I suppose, pull the car apart or pull the twin turbo setup out, we've found some very questionable things. But yeah, you can see oil leaks galore. Terrible oil leaks everywhere. Turbos are just leaking from everywhere. Rex has just found that the reason we have so many exhaust leaks is because the V-band on the exhaust is a different size to the V-band on the turbo, so they're mismatched.
At first I thought it was misaligned, but it's misaligned the whole way around, and it's just, yeah, wrong size.
Just the wrong size. So that's not going to help as far as exhaust leaks goes.
Every intercooler pipe that I've removed would tip out about half a litre of oil.
Yeah, so the intercooler is just full of oil.
It's just all over the floor.
The amount of oil that was just in the charge piping is just insane. So the turbos have been pretty unhappy. There is a scavenge pump. It is a very good scavenge pump, and although it looks to be plumbed backwards, whoever wired it will wire it in reverse polarity, so it is actually pumping the wrong way, which means that it is set up correctly.
But it's not. It's not doing it.
It's not working. Like there is thread sealant on every AN thread under here, which if you've got to put thread sealant on an AN fitting, something's very wrong. You shouldn't have to do that at all. So yeah, quite a few dramas with this car. It did make apparently 600 wheel horsepower with this setup. My main concern with the new setup, he's pretty happy to push it a bit harder. Our main concern is the fact that it does have a stock 6L80 in it. It's got a deep pan and a few other things. It's got a 3300 TCR converter. So that's all good, but as we know from experience, this one I think being a bit of an earlier VE as well. I could be wrong.
It's 09.
It's 09. Yeah, so I don't know how much further we can comfortably push this gearbox. 600. We know that 650 on a standard 6L80 is, of this age, is starting to get a bit sad. They did get a lot better after 2010, and then the VF 6L80 is much better again.
All that oil, like that's coming out of the boost
housing.
reference port and the housing.
Yeah.
Like all of the boost control lines are full of oil. All the charge pipes are full of oil. The intercooler was full of oil. It's just pretty unreal.
Not happy. So it is the 6 litre, and this has been built. It is a Comb Racing, I think, built 402 stroker. It's a 5-thou over, so yeah, 402 with a 4-inch stroke. So still a 6 litre alloy block, but just stroked. Nice little cam, everything you'd want in a little engine. So with the Kiloboost kit that's going on this thing and the turbo that's been supplied with this little 402 stroker and this converter, this thing by all means is going to be a really, really nice little street car. It's going to be freaking wicked. But I'm just not quite sure how much harder we can reliably push this 6L80. So, but anyway, there's a few other things we want to do to it while it's here. We're upgrading the brakes to HSV brakes, which at the moment we're a bit concerned about whether the caliper's going to clear the wheel face. So we need to check that. A few other things we've got to check, do a bit of a list. Basically just go through the car. It's been sitting for that long. It just wants it gone through, set up with the Kiloboost kit, and yeah, fixed and sorted properly so he can enjoy his pride and joy again. So that's the plan. Righto, guys. So Rex has been smacking this out. He's got this thing pretty well apart. And we're sort of just, at the owner's request, making a list of all the things we found that we want to change or have seen to before it all goes back together and goes back on the road. Like I talked about, it's been sitting for a long time. So we've got to check these injectors out. As long as they're injectors we're happy with, we'll get them flow tested and cleaned. If they're not, we'll get new injectors. A few things that we found that we weren't really happy with, but it is what it is. It's all getting changed anyway. Rex pulled all the plugs out yesterday, and this thing has definitely been detonating. The plug out of number 5 has like no ground strap, and it doesn't even have any porcelain left in it, so it's pretty rough. So that could be a lot to do with a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean the tune's bad, particularly with how much oil we pulled out of the thing. There's plenty of other things that it could be the problem, especially, you know, injectors have been sitting. Who knows? Who knows what's going on with this thing? It's been a while, so that's why we are going through it this way and doing it. But yeah. Anyway, pull all this off. We've got the new front cover. We'll go through sort of the kit with you guys and what comes in it, because it's really, really extensive. For the money, it's wicked. So first things first is front timing cover. So Darcy with the kit sends a new front timing cover where he has welded already a turbo drain fitting. So that's the oil return for the turbo, which drains back into the timing cover. And he has a really, really nice drain fitting for the turbo, which sort of, yeah, I'll show you that as well. It's all really, really nice stuff. All right, guys. So we don't particularly, you know, you guys know us here. We don't particularly like to just shit all over other people's work for no reason. But some of these things we just point out just to bring your attention to some of the things that go on in this industry and some of the things we do see. So Rex has just pulled this gone to pull this front timing cover off to fit the new one from Killer Boost. And wondering why so much oil was leaking everywhere, you may notice that there is just no gasket. That timing cover's just been slapped on completely dry.
You'll also see as well, is that mark in the cam sensor? You can see where that's been
Rubbing on the chain.
On your cam teeth.
Yep.
Because without the gasket, that gap is, well, non-existent. And it's been actually
Rubbing.
It's worn a groove in that.
So yeah, there's just literally no gasket on this thing.
So that could explain why there was a fair bit of oil. It looked like it was coming from the sump gasket, which you didn't understand because it was sort of sitting on that rail all the way down the sump. But I think what's been happening is it's been seeping out. This timing cover running to the bottom and then running along the sump. So that's not like a Rollmaster gear. That's or a JP, whatever they are. But that looks like a stock cam gear. Assume it's new. They have at least used in LS2 style
Timing wedge.
Timing wedge.
Yep. Yes. So anyway, things like that. Just we do see a lot of things like this. It's wild. Wild stuff. Anyway, guys, there's been a lot of things that we found on this thing like that, like all the thread sealing on the AN fittings. There's heaps of other stuff as well, but we're not going to go through and list them all. But you know, there are a lot of stuff in this industry you see that just makes you scratch your head. But it is what it is. At least it's here. We can sort it out properly. It's hard to know with that because I mean we don't know who built the engine. We don't know if, you know, we don't know who it was. It could have been a number of people along the line of the life of the car. So just the things you see, guys. The things you see. It's all right, everyone. Bo's back. Getting through this. Getting some stuff handled and sorted. But yeah, just have a look at the quality of what you get in these kits. It is just really, really nice stuff. This is what we're working with.
Look how it fits though.
Yeah, it fits so well. Like we said at the start of this video, guys. We've talked about this a million times. Even if we had our own VE that we wanted to turbo, we'd just buy one of these kits. You would not bother trying to fabricate one of these systems for what you can get one of these kits for. For the workmanship, the price, it's just, you wouldn't bother. So yeah, really, really nice. This one comes with a big Plasma Man cooler. There are obviously different levels to the kit. I think you can choose if you want to spend. Obviously the Plasma Man cooler comes with a bit more up-spec one. And yeah, Pro Boost G42 1450. Really, really nice stuff. So, because this 408 or 402 stroke has been fitted with roller rockers, it does have the spaces on the covers to make room for the roller rockers, which does create a bit of a challenge for us because it means this covers and coil and everything's a lot closer to the turbo than it would normally be. So there's a few challenges we've got to work around and try and sort out, but we'll sort it out. So we're going to have to take these covers off anyway because we've got to check the roller rockers for lash and for adjustment, and we need to weld two AN10 breather fittings into the covers for the new catch can setup, which is also going in. So yeah, just really nice kits, really, really nice. And then yeah, you can see our new cover there with the turbo drain fitted. That's all in there and nice and well, and is actually fitted with a gasket now. That's nice. And then in this box, here it is, and this is the turbo drain fitting that comes in the kit as well, and like just look at the craftsmanship, the workmanship, how quality the piece is. It's like it's a very comprehensive kit, and it's an extremely good value for money. Is the main thing. So we would like to upgrade the transcooler that's on this thing, being that it is, you know, a standard 6L80 with a 3300 converter. You guys have seen we like to use those big PWR coolers. Unfortunately, we can't fit it between the intercooler and the condenser. There's not enough room. So we're looking at maybe trying to set it off to the side with the bar on. We'll see how much room we've got, and just putting a decent little thermo fan on it. But for what this thing's going to be doing, we would really like to get a bigger transcooler happening. Try and keep those temps down a bit more. So that's your manifolds there, and then crossover goes underneath, and the wastegate is mounted off the crossover pipe, which saves heaps of room up here. And from what we've tuned so far of these kits, they work really well. So yeah, anyway, we're just really impressed with these things. All right, guys, cracking on, rolling on. Still going. So yeah, IoT sensor in there. As you can see how nice this manifold is and everything. So it's all coming along. So we were waiting on some parts which have just arrived. Big order from Pat. Heap of racework stuff. So Rex has ordered a heap of things to continue on with what we've got to do. So we need to put breathers on the rocker covers. So because of what we want to do with this thing, I'd recommend anyone that's doing this turbo kit to do that. It's not part of the kit. It's not 100% necessary, but when you pump and boost in one of these engines, they need to breathe. So we'd recommend it. So it does come with a catch can, obviously, which is this one here, which is a really nice little bit of kit. But I believe that it's designed to just work off the standard breathers on the LS, where we're going to actually weld some nice big breathers.
This one was ordered with the Dash 10 fittings.
Oh, okay.
But
so there's options with the kit.
Yeah, and I believe they do another one that just has barbs that's designed to just use
those. Yeah, okay. Yep.
So obviously Andrew, when he ordered this, he got the upgraded catch can, which is why we're going to weld the new
fittings. Yep. So that just gives it obviously a lot more capacity to breathe. The other thing that we are going to do, which doesn't come standard, is, as you can see here, Rex has drilled and tapped a 1/8 MPT fitting into the top of the catch can. And what we are going to do is run this through a check valve to the intake. Now what this means is that under vacuum, at cruise or at idle, if you're stuck in traffic, what it's going to do is draw fumes out of the catch can into the intake, which is then going to burn them. Because what we have found with cars with catch cans that don't do this is when you're sitting at traffic lights or stopped at idle and stuff, you can get what breathes through this filter into the cabin, and you get that real fumey, oily smell. Some people it doesn't bother them, but obviously for us, we're a big fan of street cars and streetable cars, and I don't know, it just annoys us to be in a car and have that smell. So basically it means that under boost, it's not going to push any air through this breather because there'll be a check valve, and under boost it's just going to breathe through the filter. But if you're under boost, you're going to be moving that fast that it's not going to be a problem. It's really only at idle, at stopped, in traffic, or when you're cruising that these fumes and breathing really sort of annoy you when you're in the car, in the cabin, and having that be able to recirculate through the intake manifold under vacuum just helps draw that out of the way and burn it off. So that is something that we are doing and adding. But yeah, I mean, just ticking along with it, cruising through. We've got to sort out the dump pipe, going from 3.5 inch at the dump through a cat, and then splitting to twin 3 inches to meet the existing exhaust that's on the car, the twin 3 inch. So a bit of fab work and stuff to do, but man, these kits are just so nice. They're so good. So to fit the old turbo kit, they'd obviously modified the starter, and they'd ground off one of the tabs or one of the flats for one of the starter bolts, and the starter only had one bolt installed, which was obviously due to lack of room and the modifications to the starter. So we've decided just to replace the starter. We could see it becoming a problem in future, and we don't need the clearance for this kit. It's built to fit around all of the standard stock components, which is awesome. So we've replaced that, and we've pretty much got just a list of things basically for the owner now to decide what he wants to do with, and we've sort of been through everything and found what we need to find, and now we just need him to make decisions so that we can sort things out. And yeah, keen to get this thing completed and back on the dyno. So yeah, you can see how freaking good that intercooler looks, how well it's mounted. It's wicked. So yeah. Alright, checking in today, guys. I'm just trying to do like a bit of a daily update on this thing at the moment. So Rex has been working out today the exhaust situation and starting to fab up the exhaust and crossover and things like that. So one thing that Darcy does say to do with the kits is to weld on 2 supports to the crossover pipe to hold it up.
Just one.
Just one, is it? Oh, sorry, just one. So obviously he doesn't manufacture it into the pipe because there are obviously variations between auto and manual and probably a few other things as well. So that's one thing that he does recommend to do with the kit once you get it. So Rex has done that and repainted the crossover. You can see the engine mount up in there that is supplied with the kit as well to provide clearance to the pipe. So just cruising along pretty well and keeping on going.
Carefully modified trans lines. You have to modify them to fit the crossover.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So they hang a bit too low.
Yeah, because the crossover sort of goes right here.
Yep.
So yeah, had to bend this one forward and this one all the way up, really tight, as high as we could.
Yep.
I nearly gave up, and we're just going to buy a bulkhead and run
and make new lines.
Just run AN6 lines, but we got there in the end.
Cool.
It was getting really hard to try and get the front, with all the changes back here, to get the front two to actually be accessible.
Yep.
But we got there in the end, and I'd sort of prefer to keep some hard line up to the front.
Yeah, just a bit safer.
Yeah.
Especially being around the crossover, where it's going to be quite hot.
Yeah.
Quite warm. And you can see up there as well where the dump pipe comes out there and where the crossover goes into the other manifold. But yeah, it's all just really nice stuff. And like I said, guys, it all just fits. It's good. It's really nice to work with for what we're trying to do. So the plan is to come down to obviously our 3.5-inch dump. We will be putting a 3.5-inch cat in the system, so it will have a cat, and then we will split it into our twin 3 inches, and it will join back up to the original twin 3-inch exhaust back here. So that's the plan with it all. Rex has started the fabrication. So something like that.
Something like that. But I just need to put the crossover back in to confirm clearance.
Make sure it clears the crossover. So I'll show you when the crossover goes back in where the gate's actually placed, but we will be plumbing the gate back into the system as well. And at this stage, we're just not quite sure how far back we're going to sort of merge it into the twin 3-inch. It sort of just depends where it ends up behind the cat and where
I think the only option is to 3.5 back to here, then try and split it, and basically this one will run straight into this side.
Yep.
Wherever we can get it, and this one I'm probably gonna have to cut it off probably pretty much there, and basically come straight and turn into the split.
Yep.
And then the gate will just come down and come back into this corner here. Is pretty much how it's going to have to go, I think. Yep. And then that sort of keeps the X pipe in there, which should hopefully help even out a little bit of the flow, because the I think it'll work out alright actually, because this side, because it's going to split pretty much like this side's obviously going to have priority flow for the exhaust coming down, but with the gate plumbed into this side, that should, I think, help to even out. Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, that'll help draw some through this pipe, and then it should all sort of even out.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll be all right.
Rightio, guys. I forgot the good camera, so back on the GoPro for the minute. Hopefully it's picking up sound. But Rex just finished welding up our exhaust for the big bad ute. So 3.5.
O2 bungs in it as well now.
Yep. So 3.5 flex bellow cat comes back and then splits into the existing twin 3-inch system. And that is where the gate merges. You can see the gate over that side, which also has a little flexi in it. We did plan on putting a little flexi in here as well to try and keep a bit of movement with the 2 separate sides, just to try and help the join as best we can. But unfortunately, we don't have a spare 3-inch flexi, so that's didn't happen this time around. But hey, it is what it is. So because we didn't have the flex bellow handy, Rex did put this brace in, which with the brace and the X pipe right here, I don't think this is going to be a problem at all anyway. But yeah, that's how it all goes around. And then particularly with the flex bellow in the gate side and the flex bellow there, all that can move. I think this is going to be schmicko fine. I don't think it's going to be a problem. All right, guys, so the big VE ute is more or less all together. The owner come out on Monday. We had a bit of a talk about options, what we're going to do. We are going to upgrade these injectors. His brakes, his new brake upgrade, his HSV brakes, unfortunately are not going to fit. We tested the back and they're even worse than the front. So he's going to need some new wheels. Still got to talk to him about that, about whether he's going to bust for new wheels or what he's going to do. So anyway, here's how all the fab work ended up anyway. The boys killed it. So yeah, 3.5 flexi join after the V-band into a cat. Down splits, as you saw in the last clip. And that's how the gate side ended up with the flexi and another V-band. So all happy days. Goes out the back. Twin 3-inch there, and our little welded on brace for the crossover, which is in the instructions for the kit, all back together. I'll show you from the top when you drop it down, but yeah, it's all happy days. So we're really excited about this thing, getting it on the dyno. So unfortunately, without any other room, our transcooler ended up pretty much having to go here. So we've got a nice big PWR transcooler, which we like to mate with these 6L80s. These transcoolers work awesome and they don't restrict flow at all. Not restrictive. The smaller, real thin transcoolers with the barb fittings, they are quite restrictive for just how much the 6L80 pumps. And then we've also got a nice little 9-inch Spal thermo fan there just to help out. So because of where it ended up, what we are going to do is just build a bit of a bash plate, I suppose you'd call it. We're going to do like 3mm alley. It's not so much going to be to protect against hard impacts, but it will at least just deflect things when you're coming up driveways and stuff. Just take away the sharp edges, so it will deflect things and stop it from catching. But you know, unfortunately, that's just the only room we had in the end, was to put it down there, and it needs a decent transcooler, this thing. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Got some new injectors on the way, and yeah, we'll wait and see what he wants to do about the wheels and brakes. But I'll show you the top when it comes back down. But yeah, we're pretty keen on this thing getting on the dyno. It's going to be a party. This thing being Stroker, 400 cubes, with that G42 1450, with the housing that's on it, with this 3300 converter in the 6L80. It's also got 346 diff gears, so this thing is going to be a party for a street car. It's going to be freaking awesome. All right, guys, it's currently very, very late. Burning the midnight oil tonight, getting an engine built, and I just thought I'd catch up on this video before I leave the shed tonight. So today, Bo and Rex made this up for the ute, which looks freaking amazing. So it is basically just a big bash guard protector for our transcooler setup. So like I said, the aim of this is just to literally deflect things that might want to catch on the cooler and just stop it from ripping anything off. So absolutely awesome job. It's really nice and light. It's going to do exactly what we intended it to. It looks great. Looks awesome. Like, you know, from standing in front of the car now, seeing the Plasma Man and then seeing this little nice shiny bit of alloy, it's going to be people are going to be perking their ears up. But anyway, that's pretty much that. Now we're just got to wait for these new injectors to get here, get this thing on the dyno. At this stage, the go with the brake and wheel situation is, he's a very, very smart man, this bloke. Very, very good customer, very smart bloke. He's got a budget in mind, and he has decided to wait, see how it goes on the dyno, see how tune goes, make sure tune goes well, provided everything goes well with the car, nothing goes wrong, he doesn't have to spend any extra money on the driveline to get it to where he wants it, he will purchase some new wheels to clear his brakes. However, he's not going to purchase any new wheels until such a time as he knows that the dyno session's going to go all good and we're going to have no other issues. So, very smart bloke. I'm a fan, that's good. I'm happy with that decision. So, once his injectors get here, get this thing on the rollers, make some power, keen as. All right, look at that. How bloody good. So yeah, like I was talking about, these kits, they're just so freaking good. Can't get much better value for money. And yeah, happy days. Happy days. So at this stage, it's just trans fluid. And we've just received our new injectors, which we are going to fit, which are XS by Expert. So when it comes to Gen 4 PCMs, the fuel modeling is critical. So much of the ECU, what the ECU does is based off, well, just so much modeling in the ECU. There's so much freaking modeling. They're very complicated, and it's all because of fuel modeling. And these injectors come with the best data. They're the best injectors to buy for these things. They are the best data, and it all works so well as far as tuning goes. So if you want your tuner to give you a reach around, put these in your VE. Like I said, XS by Expert injectors. They're so good for tuning.
Who doesn't know, they actually give you, if you log in online, and it actually goes and directs you to the data for these injectors, and I don't mean for this model, for this exact set of 8 injectors. They're individually labeled, and every injector is tested, so flow rate within 0.5% and the dead times within 1.2% or 1.19 for this set. Your flow rates for different data, so this is a basic setup, but you log in online, and I'm pretty sure that they have different layouts of data depending on what PCM you're using, whether it's Gen 3, Gen 4, Ford, Hemi, the Dodge, whatever the hell they use.
Whatever you need.
But they have all the data set out so you can just copy paste it, and that's your injector data for this set of injectors. It's unreal.
So you just copy and paste your data from this set of injectors straight into your tune file for your Gen 4 PCM, and it all just works so well. You end up with really, really nice fuel maps. ECU and everything behaves and models exactly as it should, and your tuner will be very, very, very happy with you.
Yeah,
so,
particularly if you're going to do some fun stuff like flex fuel, your injector data becomes even more important in your modeling and stuff like that. So yeah, these are just awesome. They're so good. Worth every dollar.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Worth the investment, worth the money. A little bit more expensive than your standard injectors of the same flow rate from Bosch or someone else, but these things, they really are worth the extra. From a tuner, telling you guys it's worth doing. Anyway, so these are going there, and then it can go on here, and we can go and make some noise. And
it won't do that because it's got a bob on it.
It's got a bob. It'll go.
But, not our thing,
but yeah, see some numbers. Alright guys, getting to the pointy end of this thing. We were a bit concerned about where all our power was, but the owner sent me a heap of information on the engine when he booked the car in, and it doesn't have specifically compression information or anything like that, but it did have, I did find a piston part number. With the piston part number, I was able to find out what the dish and the piston was, and through some calculators and calculations, we were able to work out what the compression was. And basically, we were just way off with the timing because the compression was a lot lower than we expected, which is fine. But yeah, it just wanted heaps more timing. So anyway, once we had that sorted out, we're all good. So we've ended up at 636 wheel horsepower at just under 11 pound, between 10 and 11 pound. So happy days. That's pretty right. That's right on the money for what this thing should be doing. We're happy with that. Now at this stage, Rex has just got to go back down through the other boost settings that we have in the e-boost and just get the timing right for those ones with the map. Make sure and double check the timing with those. But yeah, gate pressure should end up being around that 3 pound or so with this 5 PSI spring in the gate for where the gate is, which is perfect. That's about, as low as you really want it for your lowest setting, really. Just as far as taking the car somewhere, valet mode, I suppose you'd call it, just about. As little boost as possible just for dropping the car off somewhere or doing whatever. So anyway, happy days, 636 wheel horsepower, that's a great result. At that point, we are starting to get to the limit of this fuel pump, but as you guys know, this being a VE 6L80, we know that around that sort of power is where they're starting to get pretty unhappy. That's why we decided not to bother with the fuel system in this car, because unless he's looking to go built gearbox, which he probably should be at this point anyway, really, he should be considering that even for the 636. But it seemed like a waste of budget to go spending money on that fuel system if we were going to be already basically at the limits of the gearbox anyway. So happy days, good result. Bit of cleanup, bit of street driving, and yeah, we'll see what happens. The tune's good, happy with that. Cool beans.